The Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, Master and Disciple, page 87. The bound souls never think of God. If they get any leisure, they indulge in idle gossip and foolish talk, or they engage in fruitless work. If you ask one of them the reason, he answers, "Oh, I cannot keep still, so I am making a hedge." When the time hangs heavy on their hands, they perhaps start playing cards. There was deep silence in the room. A devotee: "Sir, is there no help then for such a worldly person?" Master: "Certainly there is. From time to time he should live in the company of holy men, and from time to time go into solitude to meditate on God. Furthermore, he should practice discrimination and pray to God, 'Give me faith and devotion.' Once a person has faith, he has achieved everything. There is nothing greater than faith." To Kedar: "You must have heard about the tremendous power of faith. It is said in the Purana that Rama, who was God himself, the embodiment of absolute Brahman, had to build a bridge to cross the sea to Ceylon. But Hanuman, trusting in Rama's name, cleared the sea in one jump and reached the other side. He had no need of a bridge." All laugh. Once a man was about to cross the sea. Vibhishana wrote Rama's name on a leaf, tied it in a corner of the man's wearing cloth, and said to him, "Don't be afraid. Have faith and walk on the water. But look here, the moment you lose faith, you will be drowned." The man was walking easily on the water. Suddenly, he had an intense desire to see what was tied in his cloth. He opened it and found only a leaf with the name of Rama written on it. "What is this?" he thought. "Just the name of Rama?" As soon as doubt entered his mind, he sank under the water. If a man has faith in God, then even if he has committed the most heinous sins, such as killing a cow, a Brahmin, or a woman, he will certainly be saved through his faith. Let him only say to God, "O Lord, I will not repeat such an action," and he need not be afraid of anything. When he had said this, the master sang, "If only I can pass away repeating Durga's name, how canst thou then, O Blessed One, withhold from me deliverance, wretched though I may be? I may have stolen a drink of wine, or killed a child unborn, or slain a woman or a cow, or even caused a Brahmin's death. But though it all be true, nothing of this can make me feel the least uneasiness. For through the power of thy sweet name, my wretched soul may still aspire even to Brahmanhood." Pointing to Narendra, the master said, "You all see this boy. He behaves that way here. A naughty boy seems very gentle when with his father, but he is quite another person when he plays in the Chandni. Narendra and people of his type belong to the class of the ever free. They are never entangled in the world. When they grow a little older, they feel the awakening of inner consciousness and go directly toward God. They come to the world only to teach others. They never care for anything of the world. They are never attached to woman and gold. The Vedas speak of the Homa bird. It lives high up in the sky, and there it lays its egg. As soon as the egg is laid, it begins to fall. But it is so high up that it continues to fall for many days. As it falls, it hatches, and the chick falls. As the chick falls, its eyes open. It grows wings. As soon as its eyes open, it realizes that it is falling and will be dashed to pieces on touching the earth. Then it at once shoots up toward the mother bird high in the sky." At this point, Narendra left the room. Kedar, Pran Krishna, M., and many others remained. master. You see, Narendra excels in singing, playing on instruments, study, and everything. The other day, he had a discussion with Kedar and tore his arguments to shreds. All laugh. To M. Is there any book in English on reasoning? M. Yes, sir, there is. It is called Logic. Master. Tell me what it says. M was a little embarrassed. He said, one part of the book deals with the deduction from the general to the particular. For example, all men are mortal. Scholars are men. Therefore, scholars are mortal. Another part deals with the method of reasoning from the particular to the general. For example, this crow is black, that crow is black. The crows we see everywhere are black. Therefore, all crows are black. But there may be a fallacy in conclusion arrived at in this way. For on inquiry, one may find a white crow in some country. There is another illustration. If there is rain, there is or has been a cloud. Therefore, rain comes from a cloud. Still another example. This man has 32 teeth. That man has 32 teeth. All the men we see have 32 teeth. Therefore, men have 32 teeth. English logic deals with such inductions and deductions. Sri Ramakrishna barely heard these words. While listening, he became absent-minded. So the conversation did not proceed far. When the meeting broke up, the devotees sauntered in the temple garden. M went in the direction of the Panchavati. It was about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. After a while, he returned to the master's room. There on the small north veranda, he witnessed an amazing sight. Sri Ramakrishna was standing still, surrounded by a few devotees, and Narendra was singing. M had never heard anyone except the master sing so sweetly. When he looked at Sri Ramakrishna, he was struck with wonder, for the master stood motionless, with eyes transfixed. He seemed not even to breathe. A devotee told M that the master was in samadhi. M had never before seen or heard of such a thing. Silent with wonder, he thought, is it possible for a man to be so oblivious of the outer world in the consciousness of God? How deep his faith and devotion must be to bring about such a state? Narendra was singing, meditate, O my mind, on the Lord Hari, the stainless one, pure spirit through and through. How peerless is the light that in him shines. How soul bewitching is his wondrous form. How dear is he to all his devotees. Ever more beauteous in fresh blossoming love that shames the splendor of a million moons, like lightning gleams the glory of his form, raising erect the hair for very joy. The master shuddered when this last line was sung. His hair stood on end, and tears of joy streamed down his cheeks. Now and then his lips parted in a smile. Was he seeing the peerless beauty of God that shames the splendor of a million moons? Was this the vision of God, the essence of spirit? How much austerity and discipline, how much faith and devotion must be necessary for such a vision? The song went on. Worship his feet in the lotus of your heart, with mind serene and eyes made radiant, with heavenly love, behold that matchless sight. Again that bewitching smile, the body motionless as before, the eyes half shut as if beholding a strange inner vision. The song drew to a close. Narendra sang the last lines. Caught in the spell of his love's ecstasy, immerse yourself for evermore, O mind, in him who is pure knowledge and pure bliss. The sight of the Samadhi and the divine bliss he had witnessed left an indelible impression on Yam's mind. He returned home deeply moved. Now and then he could hear within himself the echo of those soul intoxicating lines. Immerse yourself for evermore, O mind, in him who is pure knowledge and pure bliss. We just went through the readings from the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. In the last week we saw Sri Ramakrishna classifying the humans into 4 categories. He says that those who are ever free is one category, and those who are fettered, that means who are in the bondage, that is another category. Where did I leave it? Yes. Men may be divided into 4 classes. Those bound by fetters of the world, the seekers after liberation, the liberated, and the ever free. So when explaining these 4 things, Master was talking about the bound souls who are bound to this world of Maya. So how they are bound? He says, if they get some type of leisure, instead of thinking about God or doing some activities that may take the mind towards the God, they will just be engaged in idle gossip and then foolish talk. So they do not know how to spend the time that is available with them, and they actually spend in a wrong way. And he says, if you ask one of them the reason for spending gossip time, etc., then they say, oh, I cannot keep still. And then if they have extra time, that the time is hanging heavily on their shoulders, as they say, then what they do? They go and make a hedge of the home. They repair the hedge. So they do not know how to spend the time. So that is the problem with the worldly people. When Master uttered these words, suddenly we find the whole room seated, people seated there, they became absolutely silent. So they said, what is happening there? There was a deep silence in the room. M has noted this. M was also sitting in the room, and he looks at everyone, and everybody is stunned at the words of the Master. Then one devotee gets courage. He is asking, is there no help then for such a worldly person? Even, see, the devotee is trying to identify himself with that person about whom Sri Ramakrishna was telling. So he thought, I am also wasting my time. I am also thinking of idle gossip I am doing. So that means when Master is telling me, should I have any reason to come out of this, or I am bound always by this? Is there any way for me to come out? I think that has prompted the devotee to ask this. Is there no help then? Then Master says, certainly there is. From time to time, he should live in the company of holy men. Then he says, go into solitude and then practice discrimination and then pray to God. These are the 4 paths or 4 methods Sri Ramakrishna is teaching us. One is have to live with the company of holy men. So here you find the holy men are there in this world, and today one gentleman came a few minutes before. He was telling how it was. He found out he donates food during Sri Ramakrishna's birthday. and somebody has gone to him and said, "You are giving to that Vedanta society, but not to us. We also want like that." He said, "No, no, don't compare like that. There a holy man lives." He said like that. So that who is a holy man? A man who is thinking of God. So that man can be a sannyasi, that man can be a householder. But the thinking of God must be predominant in his mind. Is that available in a person? Then that person becomes holy man. We find where the mission is there, people come there. And with the sadhus, they sit for some time and discuss something, and they get the holy company. What about those people who do not have that opportunity to meet sannyasis? Then what will happen to them? So in another place, Swami Vivekananda says that the holy books are your company. That means when you have, say, Bhagavad Gita, I have with me, the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, I have with me, and I read the book, that itself is a holy company I have got. So if today, if I can't get a holy company outside, then in my own house, I can get a holy company by keeping these books and reading these books.